TrueHouse, and it's Thursday, the 24th of June. Time is approximately 8:43. Welcome, YouTube. And I'm going to discuss the deep state tonight. Amongst other things, I'm going to discuss some normal things, and I suppose I should say the deep state is a bit normal, isn't it? Because now Epstein has become a verb. The verbiage, verb as in a to-do word, an act, an action. I think it's very indicative of the time we're in. That how many years ago did Epstein get killed? And I'm very specific about that. He did get killed, and don't get me wrong, he's a bad man. And a couple of people hit me on Twitter tonight saying, "Oh, he wasn't worth killing, or he was worth killing," as in John McAfee. And of course, I, with the limited knowledge I've got, have just said Julian Assange is next. That's my knee jerk. I'm no Ed Snowden. I'm just I know nothing about computers, but I would say Julian Assange will be next. That will be found dead. He'll be found dead, and it'll be. And what's kind of shocking about people being found dead in their jail cells is that we all know, and this is where the deep state comes into it. And a deep state, as in those two words, deep state, I don't think it needs to be as dark as it's purported to be. I think the deep state is really the people. So it's bottom up rather than top down power. People are so complicit, whether it's, hey, I also just got off the phone tonight to a good friend in Essex who's in hospital with facial paralysis and suspected brain hemorrhage from his vaccine, and his second, no, it was his second shot, yeah, it was his second shot. And I know most people are safe on the vaccine, of course they are, but anyway, it just makes me think that something so novel and so acute is pushed, and oh, that was a bit of a pop. is pushed, whereas a completely safe repurposed medication like ivermectin, which has been around since I was 3, and both the chap in Essex and my friend in London were very familiar with ivermectin. I've asked my GP now for ivermectin, and it's an antiviral, anti-parasitic drug, anti-malaria drug, anti-inflam too, but ivermectin has been around since 1975. So if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would certainly hedge my bets on a proven generic drug, which means it can be manufactured by anyone else. It's not purpose built just to this lab or this company. It's not that acute. But if there's something that novel and that, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, by the way. I'm just quickly mention this. I'm not an anti-vaxxer because I think, look at polio, look at tuberculosis and polio, and anyway. So it's not about that. It's just about no one can deny that the vaccine, good or bad or indifferent, and I totally understand why people get it. My brother got it for his job, and people need to get it for their jobs. People need to get it because they want to fly. Some people have to fly for their work. Some people have to fly. Another old school friend actually just did a 2-day trip to Europe because he had to for his work, and he had to be vaccinated. So I understand the logistics of that. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still acute, which means quick, short, as opposed to something that's chronic. That's why we use acute disease and chronic disease. And it's very novel. That's the word I was looking for. Very novel. So any novel cure novel vaccine is a money spinner, much more lucrative than a drug that's been in circulation since 1975. It would be akin to comparing paracetamol with some new high performance vaccine. Anyway, so I fully understand the importance of vaccinating people. I don't understand why people that have had COVID need to be vaccinated. I'm now on my 11th doctor that's publicly said that, which is quite encouraging. All easy to find online, just doctors that are willing to say publicly why are people that have had COVID and therefore, antibodies are present, being vaccinated. If you've had COVID and you've overcome COVID on your own, why be vaccinated? That's when an evolutionary biologist like Brett Weinstein and doctors like Pierre Corey, etc., and Paul Mattis have all come out and said, these are real professionals, and said, why are we vaccinating people that have had COVID? That's where I go a bit, oh yeah, that's So thank you to Jon Stewart. Thank you to Jon Stewart for embarrassing Stephen Colbert. I hate Stephen Colbert on the Late Show. Wonderful that something that was bannable, that got me banned on Instagram. I started a new account and got me banned under 3 months ago. Thanks to the likes of Jon Stewart making it very funny and saying on the Stephen Colbert Late Show, oh, the Wuhan lab, it is a lab leak. It's not zoonotic. But anyone with a logical mind would see it couldn't be zoonotic in its nature. How Wuhan the virology lab, were obviously, as Russell branded a very funny video about this, just saying, that the money poured into gain of function research while staring off into the distance. I'm just looking at the brick wall over there. It's got a bit baggy. It's looking a bit sad, but then again, you guys don't see it. But anyway, that's my little bit. The meddling. I'm not getting my words out tonight. The meddling with nature, which of course labs are meant to do. That's what they do. With regard to increasing the potency of COVID, coronavirus and SARS, obviously before that, in a lab, So no, there was no pangolin. No, there was no bat. No, there was no bat shagging a pangolin or anything, or the wet market or the meat market or anything in between. It's not zoonotic in nature. Jumping from species to species like the original HIV monkey. If it was, there'd be outbreaks amongst the bat community all over the world, wouldn't there? So yeah, that's really, again, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I understand why they've done this, but I am wanting the media to, Facebook have retracted it. Facebook have already, as has Instagram, because it's the same company, they've already retracted on their policy of 90 days ago, which was if you spoke about the Wuhan lab hypothesis, there's the word for you, hypothesis, because it makes it a theory rather than a statement. If you spoke about the Wuhan lab hypothesis, you were instantly banned or removed or shut down. And now, thanks to mainstream TV shows like The Late Show, which I watched on YouTube, Jon Stewart did a hilarious piece where he made the completely woke Stephen Colbert wince. He looked so embarrassed, because I can't stand comedians that were once funny and have become so woke they're no longer funny. Anyway, right. So that's my little bit about that, but only because I've just, sadly spoken to a chap that's, I used to live with him actually in Basildon in Essex. Good friend of mine. He joined my gym, one of my early members at my gym, and a good loyal friend and father and family, husband, nice guy, really lovely guy actually. Known Stevie for a good amount of time, and he sent me his report, and sadly the doctors have added him, this is a little bit concerning, the doctors have added him to the list of adverse reactions and paralysis from the vaccine. I wonder You know, we're talking about Bell's palsy here, and I had Bell's palsy in my 20s. I was about 22. Funny enough, well, it wasn't funny at the time. From riding my motorbike to Donington, or was it Brands? No, it was Donington. Sorry, tell a lie, for the British Grand Prix. And I had my visor open quite a bit. Long story short, you know, travelling at high speed on a motorbike with a cold blast, you know, can easily cause facial paralysis. And my left-hand side of my face was done for about nine and a half months. It took me 18 months to recover, so I didn't get any dates for about a year and a half because I looked like that. I was a bit, well, very droopy. And my left foot went as well, from being in a certain position. Anyway, there you go. So I hate palsies, I hate paralysis, you know, parts of the body. Transparency among government and news outlet instead of the scare tactics. Exactly. You know, there's a word, isn't it? You know, the transparency word, and you know, what's the other thing that is often chucked around in media, or something about daylight. Oh, I don't know. But anyway, I remember David Cameron years ago chucking around. It was the Miliband, the Miliband brothers and Cameron started chucking around transparency. And there's a lot of these sort of key words that are in our language that get. I totally agree, by the way. Totally agree. You know, there's. I think the media are in the business of fear. If there wasn't fear upheld, there'd be no news. Fear is a great selling ploy, great selling. Hello, mate. How are you? You're right. So yeah. Oh dear, I'm bugging this up. It is interesting to listen to. You know, a couple of old friends tonight. Like I say, you know, just. Although separated by geography, had a very similar vaccine story. And you know, for the record, I've not been permitted to have it. It's not even like, oh, Justin's a bit weird. You know, he's watched one too many YouTube videos about the vaccine. He's an anti-vaxxer. No, my mother's mum died of polio when she was 4 or 5. So I'm fully aware that, you know, think of the millions of people that did die with polio, you know, pre-polio vaccine and, you know, TB and all these things. And, you know, so, you know, I can't sit here with a straight face and say, oh, I'm an anti-vaxxer. All I am is cautious, even if my doctors had permitted me to have the vaccine. And for the record, they've told me to not have it. And they've been very, very clear about that. Initially, the first month was a bit like, oh, is he going to have it or not? And then, of course, the powers that be at London said, no, you're not permitted that, mate. I appreciate their honesty. So yeah, if I want to go to Florida, I've got to look at the logistics about, you know, which airline says what with regards to the vaccine, because I can't have it. But I can't deny I would have opted to not have it anyway, regardless. But I do hope the media... No, come on, Justin, be realistic. The media aren't going to change. They're not, are they? Because the media are in the business. Some of the things coming out now are... I tell you what, guys, again, it's only my opinion, but I think in the next year or 3, shit's going to kick off. And I mean in a good way. I mean it will benefit us because... To your point about transparency, I know it's a you know, transparency's become a byword for fluff a lot of the time. You know, we are seeing. Let me give you an example. I was listening on the radio today. I say it's the radio. It wasn't, of course. It was what do you call it? Not a podcast. It was a live report. It was a live report, and I was driving the car to the gym. And I'd been to the pharmacy and got my controlled drugs, my CDs. So I only take one CD. It's not like I've got lots of wicked. It's only the CD. It's just the one drug. um, it means they lock it up, you know. And great street value, by the way. Anyway, and I got my fortnight's prescription. I was on the way to the gym. I've managed to get my workouts down to 38 minutes now. I don't know why, but it's just I'm finding, and I don't. Well, number one, I don't have a nin. You know that. I don't have a watch. I don't. You know, I love my little bracelets, but I don't have a watch. I don't own a watch. I physically don't own a watch. But the workouts I've been having, I've been back in training about a fortnight. Yeah, about a fortnight, I'm making a point. I've learned. You think I'd learn after 27 years, but I get sick quite quick if I train twice in a row. So if I do, it's a bit boring, but if I do, you know, a bit of cardio and go to the gym, and then try and repeat that shit the next day, I'll be unwell. I mean, I'm talking shivery, sniffy, you know, like can't make a fist, skin hurts, flu-like symptoms really. So that's obviously my immunity, isn't it? As an, you know, immunologically suppressed guy, so I've learned just to do, you know, alternate days with resistance, and you know, do a daily bit of the old bike. And I'm going to change myself and try and get in the ocean soon as well. I don't own a wetsuit. It could be unwise. It could be unwise without a wetsuit. I don't know about the temperature, but I'm certainly going to go up to my knees and just have a wade. I'm just going to have a wade, probably in the morning. I'll pop to Bournemouth Beach and just have a little wade. It'll do me no harm in terms of my feet, ankles, you know, sort of water retention, edema, you know, water retention around my ankles. The corticosteroids I have to take do obviously cause edema, along with the couple of hypertensive drugs I have to take, and a lot of and bisoprolol. But so I'm going to brave the beach. One of our old clients at House and Son, a lovely chap who's in his late 70s, jumps in Bournemouth Beach, the actual ocean, every day for a swim, which I deeply admire. Anyway, I'm all over the shop. Let's try and apex this. All right, because there's a danger of me sitting here waffling about, and we've done a bit about COVID, we've done a bit about vaccines, done a bit about deep state, done a bit about press media transparency, done a bit about his mates not being well for the vaccine, done a little bit about his own health, boring bullshit. And I posted about the new Cambridge University advancement. Nin, if you're still there, according to independent researchers at Cambridge University, our lovely lithium ion, how many milliamp hour, it is bigger, better. Do we want 5,000 plus milliamps, or are Apple optimizing it? Although it has to be said, the Pixel 5 has a good rep with its battery. The Pixel 4 and the Pixel 4 XL had a ghastly battery life. I know, I had it. And in fairness to Google, the Pixel 5, the Pixel 5 has a remarkably upstaged its previous year. So, a better battery in the Pixel 5. I did post on my Instagram on a quick note about Pixels, already on Amazon. Oh yeah, cases are for sale. Well, certainly for pre-order. I posted about half a dozen pictures of Pixel 6 Pro cases. I'm just like, oh yeah, oh baby. They've actually used John Prosser's render from Front Page Tech for the front screen, but that's Android 12 anyway. And I'm going to stick Android 12 on this here OnePlus. I'm going to give it a go. Obviously, Android 12 will be in all Pixels now, as in, well, since last week. So do buy Lee if you haven't. I mean, you don't have to, but it's stable. It's from what I'm, it's Android 12 looks lovely, in my opinion. Android 12 is a huge leap. It's dare I say it's a little bit more iOS-ish, but it's bloody lovely. It's really, honestly, those cases are a good giveaway for the camera arrangement. I mean, there's clearly what appears to be, did I see a time of flight on there? But certainly, main, ultra wide and telephoto. It was going to have 4 lenses on the Pro and 2 on the regular, which is, normal, isn't it? But nowadays you literally can't release a phone even at £300-400. I'm not saying that's no money, but that's a mid-ranger. Well, 3 to 6. That's the beauty of the Pixel 5. Actually, it's really sort of come out of mid-range money. It's £400-500 less than a flagship, isn't it? You almost can't release a phone without having an ultra wide and a telephoto. And of course, we all remember the days Pixel 4 and 4 XL that I had when Google told us we didn't need an ultra wide, which was controversial. They've done some crazy things because the Pixel 2 XL had the best double front camera. It was incredible. It's a double bubble. It is a sausage cutout, a pill cutout like the S10, the Galaxy S10 5G, the biggest one. And as per Huawei's do, when you get a wide image from a closely held, you haven't got to stick it on a bloody, extender. You can get the very good lateral sort of width from the front-facing camera too. Anyway, so that's very exciting for a twat like me to see 6 Pro cases in the marketplace. Whether they're accurate or not remains to be seen. I suspect they will be, and rarely now, with 3 months to go, July, August, it'll come out last week of September, I believe. So last year was the last day of September. So yeah, we're 3 months away from the Pixel, and we are 2.5 months away from the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and there's going to be a Z Fold 3, a Galaxy. Yes, so and I always, by the way, the massively reduced price of the Z Fold or Z Fold. So the third iteration, the third Galaxy Fold. So they're on their 3rd model now. Again, it'll all be your September, October time. It's coming down to £1,600. Now I know that's a lot of money. It's still a lot of money for anything like that. You can get you could probably buy a damn good TV and a PlayStation, couldn't you, for that, I guess? I don't know. Probably buy a Pixel 5, a PlayStation and a telephone, I don't know. The point is, it's going to be 1,600 quid for the Z Fold 3. Rumoured to have an under-display camera, which will be amazing. But I fundamentally don't like folding phones. I don't think the articulation's right. I don't think a phone should fold yet, until you can do it without any hinges, or without any openings. But anyway, we'll see. Exactly, Lee. Exactly. Get a decent. It's a lot of money, isn't it? I think it's like the 2 phones I'm speaking to. They're both £1,400 phones. Neither of which I could afford. Neither of which. I couldn't afford them if they weren't contract phones. The limit of my purchasing power was the 9 Pro here, at 800. So that was and obviously I sold my Pixel, so it cost me £300. That's what I had to find, £300. because the great thing about my Pixel was that it was a 599 phone. I got it for 500 because I got it on the opening night. So I saved £99, went for £500, and that was £300 shy of the 9 Pro. But yes, all these £1,000 plus phones, to see a folding device from Samsung at 1,600 quid, it's £400 cheaper than it has been. It's been £2,000 and £2,200 in some cases if you've got half a terabyte memory storage. Right, moving on. I saw a thing today, guys, with Tim Pool, one of these, these daily news sort of podcasters with a live cast. There, I immediately started to look at what I've downloaded. I like my tape, but it's too much. It is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. I've held a couple of folds, the Galaxy folds, but just quickly, they're very well made. They're very, the only other one that calibre is of course the Huawei, which I think is even nicer. But I fundamentally question at the end of the day, when you've got a phone, it's a slab. It's a simple piece of, you know what I mean? It's hello mate, you're right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. So yeah, that's I can't hit the wave button. My thumbs are too fat. Anyway. So, I'm trying. Oh well, I'm waving physically. I'm a bit of a spaz. Oh, by the way, Doug, look, he's just there. He's close. Look, there he is. I've managed to, like I say, if I would have him in shot if I sort of sit like that. If I sort of do this and that, then we can have him. We can have him in shot. There he is. There's the bear. There he is. See, lovely. Aren't you, mate? Little downstream bear. He's right there. He's right there. So, but yeah, know that he's close. I can actually, talk like this, couldn't I? And be like, and do all that. So look, I know I've been pinballing it tonight. I'm like, like I said, I've mentioned about these, the vaccine thing, and like I say, I did say to my friend, I said, look, my heart goes out to you because I know that is not a nice thing to experience. Actually having that degree of paralysis is no joke. So moving on, this, all right, come on, John McAfee. I immediately went on to Tim Pool's podcast, which was live, and Stephen Crowder, they were both live, and they were talking about, obviously, today's topic, John McAfee. I was a fan ever since I saw his documentary, it's called Gringo, by the way. I think it's called Gringo. But when he buggered off to that island, sorry, my little thing's making me itch a little bit, but I got this was my treat to myself last month. It was exactly £12. Real leather. So when it is called Gringo actually. What did he go to? Was it St. Kitts or something? John McAfee went to some island, didn't he? And he's got this notorious reputation. Well, sorry, he had this. Oh God, mustn't neglect the audio. He's got this reputation. Sorry, I must talk about him in past tense now. He had this reputation for shagging young girls. Yeah, exactly. It isn't called Gringo though. But what I did, my suspiciousness got the better of me, and about 7 months ago, I purposely downloaded, because I've become deeply suspicious of people online who say things that sound controversial, because experience has taught me. Again, I don't want to be like, oh, Justin thinks he's controversial. No, it's that experience has taught me. If you find an outspoken voice online, whether they be on YouTube or well, anything downloadable, do. Because once it gains traction for notoriety, they will pull it. And let me give you several examples. In September, October last year, this is a really clear example, because I don't want to just say things and go, well, I reckon, mate. I want to be a bit more specific. So let me be very clear. September, October last year, and again, like I said, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not. I understand that. I absolutely get it. It's the fact that I'm not permitted is anyway. The point is this: Dr. Pierre Kory, Kory, came on to. This is related to McAfee, because it's, again, anyone that speaks out against the government, whether it be a Republican or a Democrat government, and our lot here, is likely to get removed from YouTube or social media. And to highlight my point, let me be very, very clear. A wonderful doctor who was, by the way, asked to give evidence at the US Senate, which he did. And he gave evidence I think it was August, but we got it in September online. And I immediately knew, because he was speaking to Congress, cutting a hole in a hammock, then lying underneath, wanking while they took it. Yes, the fecal freak. He is a scat master. Yeah, I heard about the shit eating as well. He did often do a lot of fecal work. You've got to admire that. Hungry for just landing a big old Snickers in the mouth. Lovely. Mid-70s, paying for girls, sort of 50 years his junior. Completely normal, all normal. He gave it a lot of thought on design of the house. Yes, mate, good. So, just to be clear, I downloaded three documentaries, not Green, because Gringo is available on, Amazon Prime and Netflix or wherever else. It's easily available because it's a mass-produced video. But the documentaries, or should I say, the interviews with John McAfee, are at the same level of an interview with Dr. Pierre Kory. In other words, a person asked to speak. They haven't gone out going, oh, will you listen to me, please? No, they're approached. So Congress, Senate asked Pierre Kory to speak about COVID. So he simply gave his data, and said, well, you've asked me to speak at Congress, and I'm telling you, these are my numbers. And he gave the shocking numbers for the success of ivermectin. And of course, we all know ivermectin is incredibly, incredibly successful prophylactic. Prophylactic is something, it means a preemptive strike. Anything you use is prevention. So like the day after, a pill the day after, right? So a prophylactic strike, I'm a big fan of. I use prednisolone, corticosteroids, prophylactically. It's what bats away my gout every time. Anyway, I heard this in September time. I downloaded it because I had a suspicion that he'd be removed, and within a day, I did it on the Saturday, he was gone by the Monday, and YouTube have been banning him since. And bear in mind the level of government, if you want to call them that, I suppose, aren't they? Senate, Congress asked him for his testimony. He was looking at 30 plus years in jail, 75 years. The only thing is the tattoo on the right arm with the I think it's a dollar sign saying that if he got he did. There are pictures going around of his tattoo, aren't there? I know Stephen Crowder and Tim Poole spoke about the tattoo. He mentioned the tattoo in the 3 documentaries. The reason I mentioned the docs and the Pierre Corey thing, what's the tedious link, Justin? The tedious link is every time I see something on YouTube, online, where the person speaking is saying something that I intrinsically, instinctively look at and go, oh, they're going to get in trouble for that. They're going to get in trouble for that with the YouTube overlords. That's going to be upset Fauci-berg, because again, you got to remember, we are no longer this is why I'm actually for big tech censorship. I really mean that. I really mean that. I understand, and I'm not going to use the word platform because don't think I'm speaking on a platform. I'm speaking on a publisher. This is a publisher. This ain't no platform. Don't ever think that Twitter, YouTube, Insta, Facebook, whatever, don't ever think they're a platform. They were a platform, but a platform genuinely would be a public utility, a public utility. So a platform, whether it be your phone provider, your gas and electric provider, they are platforms providing energy in terms of their utilitarian service. Twitter, Insta, Facebook, YouTube, just name those for a start, right? They are not platforms, they're publishers. A publisher is anyone that gives their opinion and causes the removal or the censorship or the cessation of others. And that's exactly what we know from Fauci, from COVID, from Dr. Pierre Corey, from John McAfee, and the 3 documentaries were all removed because he said to camera, this is McAfee now, not Pierre Corey, not the doctor, because the doctor got taken down for giving evidence to Senate, to Congress. So Congress, imagine this, guys, a court, let's make it British, shall we? A British court says to me, oh, Mr. House, could you give some state evidence, please? Could you, in that case where, the fox jumped over the whatever that thing is, be like, yeah, I'll come down, I'll give evidence, I'll swear on the Bible, whatever. You give evidence, and then YouTube ban it because you told too much truth. I'm like, so this is why I download it to the Android phone, I download it to the iPhone. This is why I pay £11.95 a month for YouTube Premium, because you can download shit. I've got 60 plus videos now that I've not even looked at of downloadable stuff that I think will be, as it gains traction, becomes offensive content by these publishers. Because a platform would let it go. A platform would let free speech go, because free speech, if it's bad free speech, will itself unravel. If I was a racist, if I actually said all black people should be smashed up and kill the Jews, if I actually was that person, really, my bad ideas would get me in trouble. My mouth and my opinions would get me in trouble. You wouldn't need YouTube to ban me because I'd get my door kicked in because I'd be an actual racist. So I do believe in free speech, because if you are espousing awful things, if you are, excuse my French, if you are a cunt, if you are a horrible fucker, and you're actually, inciting violence and saying things like, yeah, I think, all gays should be shot in the face, just a real evil shit. Your ideas, your mouth will get you in enough trouble without YouTube banning you. So that's why I say that's the distinction between a platform and a publisher. A publisher has an opinion, and a publisher becomes censorious. And that's precisely what we're seeing with the big, what have I said, 4? Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Insta, is that 4? Yeah, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, there must be a 5th, I don't know, whatever, but the main, things we use, guys. And I'm under no illusion, for me to be the tiny voice I am, I've got to be on those platforms to be published. So back to, I've only said all that preamble just because I wanted to not prove a point, but just to let you guys know that if you are a twat like me, a geek that pays £11.95 a month for downloading privileges, and you see a new video arrive on YouTube it's got to be less than a day old, by the way, because they'll take it down real fast. Oh yeah, trust me on that. You know, like I'll clock a video when it's 8 hours old or 4 hours old because I've got my notifications switched on. And I look at the likes of Brett Weinstein, Eric Weinstein, Joe Rogan himself. Joe Rogan's had shit pulled. Joe Rogan's had shit pulled. This is my point, guys. If someone as ubiquitous as Joe Rogan gets his shit pulled by Susan Wojcicki, it happened this week with the H3 podcast with Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein versus Stephen Crowder. Big fallout. Why? Over the vaccine. Yeah, exactly, Lee. Exactly, brother. Exactly. And the thing is, right, my eyesight. Do you notice that I squint like that when I have to look at, yeah. Actually, do you know what? Note to self: I must call Mark, my GP, in the morning because I got an eye test at Christmas and I failed massively. And they said that they'd write to my GP and propose that I had prescription specs because I don't have 300 quid or whatever they, I mean, what's a decent set of glasses these days? I know you can get okay ones for 40 quid, but actual prescription lenses are going to be a few hundred quid, aren't they? So anyway, I've got to chase my GP to get that because I do need glasses. Anyway, so you're right, Lee. You're right because excuse me. On the one hand, after last week's diabolical streams, and they were diabolical, that's why I pulled 2 of them. Free speech doesn't exist if you are doing it publicly, unless you are going with the PC narrative. Yes, politicians don't have freedom of speech, so it's impossible to. Well, exactly, Doug. This is the entire argument. The irony, guys, the irony is, and I've actually spoken to Brother about this, and I'm very cognizant of what I dump on Brother because, again, I'm going to be very, very careful with what I say. I've sworn to my brother that I wouldn't, start uttering too much publicly about him, and I never would. It would upset him greatly. I don't think he realises what a tiny little stream I do. It's not like I've got thousands of people that are listening. But anyway, I've sworn that I wouldn't say too much. But I know that he deals with some very heavy duty shit. That's all I can say. And I know that if I bend his ear and say, hey, brother, what do you think about, what your government and what in terms, what I mean is in terms of our British laws. I know I'm very Yankee centric, if a fan of the UK was to listen to me for half an hour, if they can stand it, they'd say, God, does that chap think he's an American or what? Because I am very American centric. I've had a thing in my head since I was a child about, I'll be honest with you guys, it was like record breakers, Roy Castle, the whole trumpet, you want to be a record, all that shit. That was all Stars and Stripes. That was all like very, very USA. And I just remember seeing so much imagery in my mind from Star Wars onwards in 1977 when I was 5 to watching movies and record breakers and whatever else. It was a very American, the Red Hand Gang, the Banana Splits, the Monkees, the list goes on. It was fundamentally American show, the Beach Boys, yes, I was aware of English stuff, and of course I watched English stuff, we all did, and then I got to my teens, and the rest is history, because then you're part of the John Hughes generation, Breakfast Club, right? So, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So I had America pumped into me, as it were, since I was a kid, and it's little wonder that I've had this relationship emotionally with America, and that's why, if I watch anything on any screen, as I just said to Sean tonight, my American friend in Florida, I've got 2 sets of beautiful couples, John and Tamara in Daytona and Sean and Heidi in Cape Coral, Florida. Now these people, well, in the case of Sean, since '93. So the point I'm making is, I'm influenced by America, and they've got the First Amendment, and we don't. And you guys are right, because and this is what I'm taking my sweet fucking time to get to the very convoluted, boring point, Justin. But I even tried to push my brother recently and say, these laws we've got in the UK, what gives, and why can't I say certain things? And really, you shouldn't say things that are going to cause, a fray, riot, incitement to violence, etc. The old one shouting fire in a theatre, etc. Kill the gays, kill the blacks. These are very obviously, patently obvious things that you shouldn't say, and you're asking for at the very least a smack in the face, aren't you? I get that. What I don't get is that we have become more censorious, and the thing is, guys, and you guys are aware of it, and I'm sorry, not sorry if I sound like I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. That's unusual for you, Justin, to be a drama queen. But seriously, my friends, I think we're in trouble. I mean it. The mere fact that this is one of the things I said to Sean tonight. I said, look, I don't have a telly and subscribe to TV in the traditional sense, and it's more than me just going, I don't fancy a TV and paying a license. It's transcended that, because I actually do more in subscriptions than I would do in a license. If you think about it, what's a telly license these days? I'm so out of touch. What, 160, 150? I don't know what it is a year. But I think about what I pay to Netflix, to Amazon, to Prime, YouTube, straight away. Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, and my Apple One subscription, which is all of it. So all of those four right there, that's probably getting on for 60 quid a month. 11 quid Netflix, 11.95 YouTube Premium, tenner on Amazon, so we're into 33, 34 quid there. What's the other one? Oh, do I do 12 or 14 quid for one? I think it's 14 quid. Yeah, I think it's 14. It's either 12.95 or 13.90. No, it's 12.95. Anyway, but I bet I'm getting on for the late 50s, 50 to 60 quid a month, for like these 4 or 5 main services. So I'm very aware that I'm choosing to, I spank that shit. I'm always watching serialized stuff on Netflix at night, and I listen to a lot of meditation stuff. I listen to creepypasta. I spank Audible, and I literally can't let a day go by without doing some sort of YouTube deep dive. But we are in danger. We are in danger of being. If any of you have ever read 1984 by George Orwell, now I'll be honest with you, I was something of a. I'm not going to big myself up. I was pretty good at school between 13 and 16 at doing public speaking and reading aloud. And it all started English lit, language, and the library. And a couple of English teachers would ask me to start reading things like Steinbeck novels, George Steinbeck of Mice and Men, this sort of thing. And of course we had 1984 and Animal Farm by Orwell. Never did The Road to Wigan Pier and stuff, but certainly Animal Farm and 1984. And these were very powerful stories, and the reason why they're relevant now, this is what got me banned, by the way, on Instagram. Let's face facts. This is what, by the way, I deleted 28,000, no, it might have been 30,000 photos today from my Google account. I've got, what have I got on my Google? The old Hotmail, yeah, including the old Hotmail account. I've got 3 accounts, and I just deleted the photos off every device. Literally down to under 100 photos now on each device. So I saved gigabytes of space there, freeing up space from Google, because I have the Google One subscription, but that is £1.95 a month, so that's okay. It's under 2 quid, which is pretty good. And I do have 2 terabytes, so that's a huge amount. But you're talking about actually I'll reduce it to 1 terabyte, tell I. brought it down to 1 terabyte, which is massive, you know, it's 1,000 gigs. Anyway, so I junked off 30,000 photos, which took me ages because I'm an idiot and I didn't do it from a computer. This proves what a complete fucking tool I am. Because anyone with half a brain would have at least gone on the iPad Pro here or the computer, logged into the Google account, you know, hit the hamburger, hit the 3 stripes and done it that way. But I did it on the phone, just long press and then lots of these, you know, not the individual, but just lots of swipes and gestures. And anyway, it took me 2.5 hours. But I have no job, no wife, no life. That's why I could do it. So getting to the critical part of the conversation, if we're in an era, guys, and this is why I mentioned the likes of George Orwell 1984, because we're living it. And no matter how hard I press my brother, he's not going to say much. And no matter how frequently I do my verbal diarrhea on this live stream, the US has this First Amendment. You know, we all. I mean, I profess to be such a US fanboy, but I can only tell you what the first is: free speech. The second is the right to arms, isn't it? It's their gun law. Right, I've got 23 seconds, and I'll come back, guys. Okay, and I will close up this McAfee thing. 13 seconds. 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Ted Rogers, isn't it? 3, 2, 1. Right. Brilliant shot. TrueHouse 378378. Deep State. Dumb. TrueHouse 378 Deep State. Posting that. And we are back. We are back. That was pretty quick for me. We're back, baby. We're back. I'm just going to have a little wrinkle out of this thing. Hang on. So much better. So much better. Let's say hello to this person here. Welcome. Yes, I have my little boy here tonight. Love him. And the backdrop is yeah, it's fine. So look, I know I'm going to apex this John McAfee thing. Like I say, you know, you can watch these mainstream docs like Gringo, and I think here in Britain we are certainly, again, especially after coming off the phone tonight with American friends, in terms of having the ability to be completely, and I hate the word fuck, I hate the transparent, but in terms of free speech, in terms of what's, you know, how censorious, you know, I shouldn't sigh into the mic, but in terms of Wicked Witch, Susan Wojcicki, Dorsey at Twitter, you know, Fauciberg at Insta and Fastbook. Sorry, I did a portmanteau of Fauci with Zuckerberg because, of course, the link, the devious link. But this is the problem, and I know people talk about deep state this and you know, oh, is it bottom up or top down power? But at the end of the day, this is why I don't and won't watch the telly. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. And like I said, I'm going to learn from this, aren't I? Having him there, I might have to move you, mate. I might have to move you. He's so cool. He's so cool. But I keep bashing with my elbow. Anyway, I digress. This is the reality of it. This is the crux of it. You know, I can gob off all night long about. It's the very reason my account, because I dared to quote George Orwell. You know, the further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those that speak it. I'm paraphrasing. I apologise if that's not verbatim, but that's the bottom line. You know, you've got to look at this for what it is. What I have noticed is, yes, I can talk about. We know the things that are so patently obvious that are in plain sight. We know about woke culture. We know that it is in fact, if I was to write the word culture now, it's woke cult. It is a religion, and it's not akin to. It is a religion. It's not a stretch. Remember, guys, 90 days ago, you were so conspiratorial. Me being a white, obviously because I'm white. I'm therefore, a bigot. Misanthrope, aren't I? I'm a hater and a bigot of everything, just completely misanthropic, and just hate the human race and promote nihilism because I'm white. I mean, fuck off. Seriously, what utter bollocks. I think one of my biggest pet peeves now is my own race. White apologists. I'd love to get literally a dozen people that happen to have the same skin pigmentation as me, Caucasian Anglo-Saxons, and say to them, okay, you're doing a lot of purity testing, you're trying to be, sort of vicariously living through others and such a paragon of virtue, then, would you like to be black, appearances and status is more important to people than fact and virtue. Love what you're saying, but I'm running off to the gym. Oh, that's really kind. That's really kind. Wow, what a. That's. Thank you. So I'm humbled, sincerely humbled by what you've said there. I'm. Firstly, yeah, thank you, and go and train. Do go and train. I'm trying to think. Jay Burns. Big apologies if I do know you. If I do know you and I'm being dense, I haven't figured out your Instagram name. So if I have met you or do know you, then sorry. I'm just trying to think with the Insta name. But anyway, thank you for dropping in. Please come back. I'm here every night from 8:30 onwards, every weeknight. Okay, but thank you for your comment. That does spur me on, because I realise what a small audience I'm speaking to, and I'm just very much freewheeling this. It's completely unscripted, as you can see, unscripted, unedited, and very, very live. But thank you, sir. Not sure how I found you either. Brilliant, absolutely. Please may I be so bold as to say, spread the word. Like I say, my name is Just-inHouse. This is TrueHouse. That's, I just refuse to lie. I will not lie. But do so. Go and train. Have a good workout. Have a good session. But thank you, and please bring people, because it's I'm very passionate about this, and I'm very verbose. You'll get used to that, But yeah, thank you very much. So that's really it, guys. I just, like I say, I know I'm very US centric, but I am obviously born and bred here in the UK, and I understand completely. There is some sort of divergence. There seems to be, what on the one hand, we intrinsically, instinctively are tribal. It would be naive to say that we're not tribal, because let's be fucking honest. I tell you what I actually care about. I said this to my cousin the other day, because all of a sudden family are like, well, obviously my parents are no more, but the little family I've got are sadly completely complicit and super woke. They're going along with the gender agenda, and this narrative, and I think it's a very dangerous narrative. I disagree with children being taught that. I'm not going to pull any punches. I disagree with children in school being taught that sodomy is okay. There you go. I said it. One of the things I spoke about a couple of months ago, and I know it upset people, but I've had friends and flatmates and clients who are gay men, and I had some brilliant friendships with them. I mean, really good fun guys. Go out and have a drink and have a laugh, and really good fun people. But having done flat shares, sharing an apartment with gay men, as I have in the past, and I once they knew I was straight, that was it. But they would also tell me in gruesome detail the logistics about what they did and didn't do. And suffice it to say, when they came for a workout and couldn't train legs because they were sore, because they were having to wear a tampon, you're like, whoa, okay, so that's the reality of your sport, that you're, and again, it makes me a heretic. It's sacrilege to say, oh, I'm not into the whole trans or pride thing, or look at the rainbow colours, because hey, all the institutions are, all the banks are, that's all good. And I'll be immediately labelled in terms of compartmentalisation, in terms of this intersectionality, just categorising everyone. That's the thing, is that, goodness me, Martin Luther King would be turning in his bloody grave, wouldn't he? Let's be judged on the content of our character, not the colour, the pigmentation of our bloody skin. Now more than ever, if anyone tells me they're a progressive, I'm like, no, you mean you're regressive. Because if you think it's okay to teach innocent children who are under 10 years of age that gay is fine and gay is good, and to actually push that agenda, it's one thing to go into your teens and you're a 15, 16-year-old and you're sort of feeling your way through the world. And I've got to say this, well, I don't have to, I choose to, but it's one thing if you're a, I remember what I was like as a testosterone-fueled teenager, and hormonally you're going mad, you're a walking hard on, young, dumb, full of cum, right? For me, it was obviously, just that heart throb and that washing machine stomach, because it was girls, and hello mate, but I just like I say, this was something, again today, there was some crazy YouTube footage which will be pulled, it will be pulled. It was actually a British father living in America, clearly with an American visa, and a lot of them, trust me, it can take a couple of decades to get a green card. Don't confuse a green card with a visa. Anyway, this American parent, an English chap, who sounded like he was sort of from Leicester or Coventry or up there somewhere, and he was steaming with his First Amendment, rights, into American teachers that were teaching his children under 10 that, and this is deadly serious, and like I say, go and watch it on Crowder live. It'll be pulled. It was there at 4 o'clock this afternoon, but it's gonna get yanked. You had a 9-year-old not screaming, but gobbing off at teachers, and this English parent living in America gobbing off at teachers who were teaching a syllabus, a curriculum at children. not only BLM, Black Lives Matter, but, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but this is not hearsay, they actually had evidence that not only was gay sex okay, but that inclusion would be also oral sex and fisting. I'm deadly serious. And I know Crowder will get another strike for this, but these people are actually, this is live video on YouTube, on Stephen Crowder's channel, on Crowder Live. And I felt very proud of seeing a British father living in America defending his kids' rights to not be taught what I think is, and I'm not religious, but pretty unholy shit. And to my earlier point, when you're going through that explorative stage, fumbling your way through your teens, you know, you're a super sensitive, curious. I was, you know, from 10 through to 20, that decade, if I'm honest with you, 10 through 20, I was like, oh my God, girls, oh shit, oh God, oh God, I've got a dick, oh fuck. You know, it was at that time, you know, you're like hormonally exploding, you're looking at girls, and, you know, just kissing a girl, your stomach's on, like I say, like a washing machine. But if I'd turned gay through, you know, if I had found a natural inclination and therefore attraction to girls, if my life, if the trajectory of my life as, say, 15, when I was most interested in popping ollies on my skateboard and having my first snog, and I was a virgin up until my 20th, had it been other fellas, then so be it. Then that would have been a naturally occurring thing. I would have just found that I wasn't into girls and I was into guys, and there you go. But what I disagree with, vehemently, strongly disagree with, is parents listening to their kids after a day at school. And this is what this PTA, Parents Teachers Association meeting, was around. This is an American version. I think it was in it wasn't, oh God, it was, it might have been Michigan or somewhere, I'll have to check. This is why I want to start sharing videos, for this very reason, because you have to take my word for it. Although I could pull it up if it's not being pulled. And this English father had the Bill of Rights in front of him, the literal paper Bill of Rights, the actual, you know, the US law about free speech, First Amendment, and he was tearing into the headmaster and the teachers about all this filth, and it happened in Birmingham, actually. It happened in the UK, and unsurprisingly, it was the Muslim parents that went completely mental. And Steve, this was last year sometime, or it could have been 2019 actually, I think it was 2019, up in Birmingham. There were Muslim parents that were like, you're not going to teach our kids that gay shit. So, you know, again, on the one hand, like I say, I can't be anti-gay because I've had gay friends, gay clients, gay flatmates. Jesus Christ, I've had girlfriends because their gay best friend introduced them to me. So I've actually dated girls because a gay man who was the mutual friend made that introduction, yeah? And so I can't sit here straight-faced and go, oh, I don't like gay men, or just, you know, homosexuality, either side of the fence. It's not about that. What it's about is that I think there should be something a lot firmer than what's currently in place. I disagree that you should be filling, excuse the pun, filling an 8-year-old up with this knowledge, because what isn't discussed, and what isn't told, what isn't projected is what I've seen only by living with gay men. And only when you've lived with gay men, and I do mean as in, this is my room, that's your room, and yes, my girlfriend's coming around tonight, and it's the gay man. I've lived with 3 or 4 gay men in London, and it was their property, it was their rules, it was their house, and they knew I was straight, fine, tickly boo. But the point I'm making is they shared with me intimate details about what they got up to. Intimate details. And I'm talking when a gay man can't train legs and can't leg press and can't squat and can't lunge because he's bleeding and he's hemorrhaging and he's having to wear a tampon from the previous night's activities. And this is not one off or 2 off. This is something I've been told dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Why, if we're so pro-gay, why isn't anyone speaking about what actually occurs? That when two gay people are going to engage in that activity, I mean, holy cow. I mean, even my last bank manager in Essex was gay, and again, I went to some of his parties with him at his house, barbecue, and hot tub, right? And I'm telling you, they go at it. So this is what I'm saying. People want to keep pushing their own agenda. What I find out of line is when the agenda is an opinion being forced onto others. Yeah, yeah. Oh God, Lee, that's a really strong point. That's a very, very well done, mate. Thank you, because you're right. What you're saying, and I massively agree with you. Subjective opinion is being, as you say, it's being forced onto others as objective fact, and it's not. And again, every time I do this, I get all demonstrative and say, "Oh look, red microphone," purple hat or burgundy hat, and I start to do these ridiculous demonstrations. But you're bloody rightly. If I said, and again, you're an intelligent man. I know you get it. But I say this publicly for my sake, actually. For anyone, I've just had a new person arrive, which I'm chuffed to bits about. And that wasn't my bum; that was my foot on the stool. And if I sat here, Lee, until I was blue in the face and said, "Lee, this is blue," and you were like, I'm sorry, mate, to fight with you, but it's a red mic. I'll be like, "No, Lee, no, it's a blue mic. I'm telling you, it's a blue mic because that's my truth, that's my opinion, and you must swallow that as fact." That's the point you're making, and I massively agree. And this is what's very damaging for society. Because it's your opinion. If I said, "In my opinion, Lee," or I'm colourblind, "in my opinion, my truth is that this is a blue microphone," and then you looked at Doug and went, "Justin's fucking crazy, it's a red microphone, we can all see it's a red microphone, but hey, let's let him believe it's blue and keep him happy, just blokes a bit woo," and this is my entire point. And like you say, that's the fundamental difference. Even as a talking point, that's the difference between subjective opinion and objective facts. The objective truth, the objective facts are, of course, it's a fucking red microphone. But if my subjective, skewed opinion, distorted opinion, grossly distorted, said, "Oh, it's a blue mic," then that's me that's got the problem. And it's that level of delusion that we're dealing with, and the reason why I care so much about this is because I don't think this is going to be sustainable for the human race. I don't think it's sustainable. Number one, I mean, you've probably heard about this, but this promotes the death of the nuclear family. You're a family man. It's a purple shoe, and I won't be told otherwise. Intact, get it right and tell the people it's a purple shoe. Oh, I like that, Lee. I should just do this, look, just do that, and say, there you go, look, it's a purple hat. No, but you're right, brother. It's a lot of people would listen to my little rants and go, "Oh, Justin, you're really making a big thing of this, you're really making a mountain out of a molehill." I hope so. I hope I am. I hope I am making a big issue of it, because it is a fucking big issue when the news, the media, the mainstream legacy media are, as you say, are doing this. All of a sudden, political opinion, or again, gender, sex, choice, freedom of speech, all of these things are under fire. The most frightening thing, Lee, is that at an institutional level, so you have experience with, college or uni or whatever. What if the actual principals, the proprietors, the people in charge, the bosses, the head honchos at college, at uni, and this is what's happening. This is the frightening thing. Whether it's Oxford or Cambridge or Harvard or Brown or Evergreen, these American universities. This is the frightening thing. The actual teachers. I mean, you went to school, Lee. Well, we both went to school, but we had varying experiences. Obviously, we both had some dodgy old times. But my point is, if I said to you, Lee, do you remember some school teachers? You'd be like, yeah, I remember Mr. Smith or whatever. I, I'm worried, deeply worried actually, that if this narrative continues to be drilled into society, it will be the downfall of society. Because let's take this model now. This model, which is down with the patriarchy. Patriarchy's bad. What's the patriarchy? Patriarchy, paternal, parents, father. Matriarch, mother, patriarch, father. It's actually wanting a non-fathered family. You don't, again, I'm sorry to upset anyone, but you don't hear about black people or white people or any coloured people with fatherless families, with the father who's perhaps done some naughty things. Let's just say families that don't have a father present, and or mother or whatever. Well, no, actually, no. This is the patriarchy. So yeah, because it's so anti-male, isn't it? All of a sudden, how is a society sustainable if you just have mothers at the helm and gay people and trans people? In terms of raw reproduction, yes. In terms of making babies, the birds and the bees, in terms of productivity, reproduction, actual sex, we made a baby. You know what I mean, Lee? I'm not insulting your intelligence, but this is what really fucks me off. If we're talking, oh God, I sound like Katie Hopkins, but I don't care, because I think this is wicked. This is really evil. If you're going to promote, that's what it's referred to as the nuclear family, the death of the family structure. Mum, dad, brother, sister, dog, cat. You know what I mean. A family, Lee. You're a family man. I watch you kiss your boy goodnight. It's lovely, man. Like when we're talking and your son comes in for a kiss goodnight. I'm not being soppy, mate, but that makes my fucking heart melt. Sorry if that's a bit heavy, but it's true. Like the few occasions when we've been chatting on camera and your lad comes in for a kiss goodnight, it almost makes me cry, but with happiness, because it reminds me of what my dad was like with me. I would publicly give my dad a kiss, on the cheek up until it wasn't cool, so probably 15 or something. I was like, oh no, Dad, that's not cool, but yeah, I had a lot of love, and it's really important. And when I see you do that, let's get this God, my eyesight's dodgy today. Let's do that. What am I doing? That's what I want to do. Sorry, Lee, I'm being a bit of a spazzo. Oh dear, I've been on one tonight. I've been really on one. Good evening, sir.
Bit of a topic, isn't it?
I know. I can't help it, Lee. I can't help it. I don't know, man. I think it's really important. What's being taught is scary.
For me, the way society is a load of people that seem to feel they have a voice, and it started off with the whole keyboard warrior thing.
The what, sorry?
It started off almost with the whole keyboard warrior thing.
Yes, exactly that. Exactly.
Obviously, I don't feel lockdowns help with this either. People have time on their hands, look at how the world is, put the world to right on a very big scale.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everybody seems to think they're running the country.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. I I just think it's not a good message. It's not a good. Well, it doesn't work, does it? It doesn't. I mean, if we want to, I mean, again, if I went to, if I said this, you know, on a big stage or to Parliament, I would be called a sexist and a homophobe, and I'd get publicly pelted for this. But I wish someone would just say, have you not considered that if you promote a gay community, if you promote a gay, because look at all the banks, look at all the institutions that are like, rainbow, gay pride. It's all very well and good, but if you do that, how do you make more babies? How do you, unless men can produce a womb and a uterus and ovaries, and that's all I'm saying.
It's crazy because what will end up happening is if society keeps going that way, we're going to end up being farmed. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Wave to that person there, but it's just like I say.
You're right, Karen.
Is it? I don't know who that is, but
someone I know. Hey? Family friends.
Oh, is it? Oh, cool. I mean, like I say, I don't. The sort of caveat I want to say is, I don't want to, because I'm very aware that the conversation, the language, in a culture that's like a religion, the woke narrative is to my mind, it's like a religion, because every news reader, every article, everything is pushing that narrative, and again, from my own life experience, from having flatmates and friends and clients who are gay men, I have actually probably more experience with gay men as a straight guy than a lot of other people that I've known. And as fun as it might be and as cool as it might be, it's not conducive to reproduction, unless you can start adopting or fostering babies. But in terms of the actual sexual reproduction, we know two men does not a child make.
Of course, but I mean, we're very fortunate, well, I suppose fortunate and unfortunate, where the world we're living in is so overpopulated.
Very true.
That it's not we have to go, well, we have to knock this on the head to keep the species alive.
Right. I mean, you're saying there's enough to go around, basically.
Just let people be people. I don't think it's you can be going, you live this way because it's more natural than this way, or going, well, I don't feel like that, so I think everyone should just accept who I am and maybe even embrace it for themselves. Just live and let live.
I agree with that notion. I do, and it's how I've lived my life. All my life is just to be very much like, you do you, mate, you do you. I've always been for that, but I'm just thinking about literally 5 decades from now. If this model, that's literally where I'm thinking, like literally 50 years on, like, if you've got a 8 and 11-year-old, when they're 50 and 60, I wonder what the rate of production will be amongst families if we're farmers.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Do you see what I'm saying? That's literally what I'm thinking.
And obviously the way the world seems to be shaping at the moment is accept this, but don't accept what the normal was.
Right.
But history has its own way of sort of going full circle as well. Which, obviously by 50, 60 years' time, it probably would have gone full circle. It's not going to be anything we're seeing, and if we are seeing, we ain't going to be in a fit state to be given a toss one way or the other.
No, exactly. It would be a bloody 100 years old. I mean, the thing is, Lee, you make a very good point, and I understand that, and I appreciate that. Look at Christianity. I went to Sunday school for a little bit when I was a kid, but my point is there seems to be the ebb and flow of society. Like you say, what's in vogue, what's trendy in society, what's cool and what's not, what's in, what's out. And what I mean, insofar as yes, we have, you and I, and certainly me at my age at 49, have been essentially raised on a Anglo-Saxon, Caucasian, British Christian society, and of
Yeah.
course now the way of living that's being promoted is not that, going to go the other way. So yeah.
Yes. I do look at my kids, and it's something that I've spoken to my daughter about more than my son because of that age difference between them.
Right.
And I look how she is as a person and the type of friend she has, and I think that she's extremely fortunate for the world we do live in, which isn't something you hear often from parents today.
No, quite
But I look
reverse,
at it and go how pure her friendships are with different backgrounds, whether it's religion, whether it's with race,
right,
whether it's with ability almost as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's so privileged that everybody is getting a fairer crack at the whip.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to turn around and say it's 100% equal, but it's a lot better than it was when I was a child and when you were a child or when our parents were kids.
So true. You're massively right. Yeah. In terms of equality, in terms of, like you say, fair crack of the whip. Yeah, it's well, we're far more polite, we're far more generous, we're far more patient, we're far kinder. I mean, my school teachers to me were brutal. I was always getting caned, 6th the best on the bum, and that was frankly a normal week. I mean, it was a. I think we've become more civilized, we've become more refined, haven't we?
Yeah, for sure. But we've got to start sort of reining in certain aspects of it because, like everything we do as a race, and I'm not talking about white Anglo-Saxon race, I'm talking about the human race.
Yeah.
We always go from one side of the spectrum to the other in a blink of an eye. We never hit middle ground.
I was just about to say that, and neglect the middle ground. We've gone from, like you say, we've gone from being really a God-fearing society, go to church and, look after thy neighbour or whatever. We've gone the other way. We've gone too liberal. I mean, I was a little shit when I was 15. I was a real little rebellion. I really thought I was a bit special, and I wasn't. I was just a knob. And in a way, at 15, I was so anti-establishment and so anti-authority, and I'd often row with my parents because I was like, yeah, up yours, I was very much that rebellious little kid. But of course, now I'm 49, I've become more conservative. I've become, what I would have called square, but the reality is I now, because I'm older, I now see, like, the narrative being taught is, tear it down, but no one's saying, why can't we make things and construct? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, when I see the news on Google or on, whatever, just however I get my news on my screens, it's all about criticising and deconstructing and not constructing.
So what I find frustrating is you can talk to any individual on any given day, and if you catch them in a specific mood, they will be able to talk rational about any subject going.
Yeah.
But if you find them with their back up and something that's pissed them off against their belief, they become hateful to a point where it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong, they're going to push their own agendas.
Yes.
But we've got to sit down as a race and go that we know what right and wrong is because we're not silly.
Right.
This is how it is. If someone says something, you know what? Brush it off.
Yeah.
Someone does something, then we'll look at it. Because an action is obviously going to be more a different outcome, whether it's positive or negative, than words.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Right? And I don't know, people seem to be more worried about what people say than what actions are took. Right.
Yes.
And it confuses the hell out of me.
And that's where that came from, didn't it? Actions speak louder than words. I mean, I, to your point, again, it's American news, but I saw today that Kamala Harris is only visiting the border, the southern border crisis, because Trump is going. And the Democrats in America are still obsessed with Trump, even though he's no longer the president and he's not even online anymore. He's not even on Twitter. But because he's going with Governor Abbott, the Texas governor, to the southern border next week, or 1st of June, 1st of July, whatever it is. All of a sudden Kamala Harris springs into action. Nothing could be more disingenuous. It's not believable. She's not going to the border to look at the Mexican families coming across that river. And by the way, I've been to that border. I've taken that drive 3, 4, 5 times. I know exactly what families do to cross that river. I've physically seen it when I've gone down to Tijuana in Mexico and gone to San Diego from LA. But the point I'm making is that everything's not even done for the right reasons, Lee. It's not even, do you know what I mean? Again, I'm doing my typical American news bit and neglecting English news, I know that, but it just strikes me as, one of Doug's favourite words was, disingenuous. It's just not genuine.
The thing is, though, you say you're only doing American news, but we have the same issues over here, right?
We do. We
do have people, and to be fair, it's probably more dangerous trying to get into the UK than it is to try and go over like the Mexican border to the US.
Yeah. I guess.
I mean, we're surrounded by water.
Yeah,
it's got to be harder, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. I mean, well, yeah, you're right. What would be the equivalent? Would be going down to Kent and going down to Dover and having a look at all the immigrants coming in. I mean, it's the problem is that, again, do you get the feeling that we're just not being told the truth? It's almost like we're being,
sure.
aren't we? We're being nerfed and mollycoddled into, again, you said it, Doug said it, it's this narrative. It's almost like, the people can't handle the truth, to quote Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth.
No, they can't handle us knowing the truth. That's more to the point.
There you go. That's powerful. They can't handle us knowing the truth. So yes.
The thing is, I mean, they're going to keep pushing and pushing, especially with the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
And eventually, I mean, me personally, I've had enough of it. This isn't the first time you've heard me say this. It won't be the last.
It's getting old, isn't it?
But eventually, everybody's going to say it. And when that happens, they'll lose control.
Yeah.
And I don't think too much is going to go on too much, apart from they'll back down eventually and go, right, we've pushed them to their limits now. By the way, we can go back to normal now.
Right.
That's what I think happens. If they try to push up further than that, though, that's when bad things can potentially happen.
Exactly. Like society gets undermined. You're right, Lee. I think because people aren't stupid. I know we all know some wallies. We all know some silly people, and everyone knows a silly person. But generally, the 80% plus of the populace, they're not idiots. People know when they're being deceived, and I think there's a lot of deception. Whether it's Boris Johnson talking into a microphone or Joe Biden, these days, if I look at Boris speak or Biden, or let me get it right, any politician, actually, any bloody politician, I just look at the screen and go, stop lying, mate. Or, male, woman, whoever it is, a male or female politician, again, they can't give a straight answer. If you said to me, Justin, is it Thursday or Friday? And I went, whoa, it's almost past Thursday, but we're not quite Friday. Is it Thursday or Friday? Well, up until midnight, it's Thursday. They can't answer, Lee. They can't answer. And that, I use a silly subject like the day of the week, but literally politicians couldn't answer that. They can't.
Yeah. Because, and a lot of the times, the people they end up talking as a spokesperson, they want to have confirmation for whoever's giving the answers, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not just one person.
Right.
It's like a congregation of people that you'll never ever hear of or meet.
Right, yeah,
But
yes.
they seem to have more of a say than what we do.
Yes. You're talking about unelected people who are pen pushers. I mean, do you or I have any idea of who writes these policies behind closed doors, whether it's Westminster in London or Washington in Washington? You know, who? I'd literally like to meet the person or people that goes, there you go, those is the rules. That's it. They're the rules because, and like you say, there's a mouthpiece. There'll be a politician, a mouthpiece representing policy, words on a page. From where?
Who knows? But it's funny though, when like I was a kid and even as a young adult, laws would take so long to be wrote.
Mm-hmm.
This thing called COVID, which nobody actually knows the ins and outs of it, and it definitely isn't. It isn't a pandemic.
No, it's not.
When you mentioned polio earlier, and that was a pandemic.
Yeah.
You had people dying.
Yeah, it was a global threat. Yeah.
Right. But all of a sudden, they can write a law within like the day.
Yeah.
That's unheard of until, well, now.
Correct. Which makes us suspicious. And rightly so.
I think it's even beyond suspicious. I think it makes people angry.
Right.
Because it's like, we've been waiting for change for some serious things for such a long time.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Not even a conversation.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're pulling out laws out of thin air, going, right, this is law. I can't even remember what the law is anymore because it changed so much over a short period of time.
Well, this is it. You're right. Things are written into being, that they're just written into existence out of nowhere with no warning. And like you say, we can't keep up. We don't know whether it's a law or a bylaw. Or, I mean, do you remember seeing those videos online of people during the lockdown who were perhaps a personal trainer or a gym owner or a hairdresser, and the police were coming round saying you can't do trade. Meanwhile, pubs were open, and off licenses were open. I'm thinking, okay, so you can go and get pissed and you can go and buy drugs, but you can't go to a gym or get a haircut. That is what makes people angry.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, people do drugs, people drink for all different reasons. But the people that want to go to the gym generally will want to go to the gym for the same reason the same people want to do drink and drugs.
Right.
For their mental health.
Yeah.
But they close that up instantly, but don't look at the bigger picture.
No. That's the problem, Lee. Who, not only they not look at the picture, well, or do they? This is where I get on my high horse and I get all conspiratorial, because I think actually, if it's so detrimental to, a business, a restaurant, a gym functioning, is the bigger picture to actually stop the normal person from having a good living, and therefore let the really big corporate companies like Amazon steamroll the rest of us.
It does feel it, and it does feel like if you're the norm, if you like, you're being suppressed.
Right.
Like in every single place you turn, you're being suppressed.
Right. There you go. Or at the very least, inconvenienced. Even if we're being charitable, if we're going to be charitable and be nice and say, well, it's not real suppression, although I do agree it is. Then
it's not real suppression. It isn't suppression that you see in terms of, like, say, places where there's like civil war and such.
Right.
But it's suppression in terms of you are not able to go and earn a living unless you tick certain boxes. Correct. And let's face it, we are being divided from the vaccinated to the non-vaccinated. But how can you segregate that when you've got yourself, for example, that is non-vaccinated but been told you can't, to the people that haven't been vaccinated and choose not to be?
Exactly. This is the thing.
One rule doesn't fit all, therefore it should not be governed.
Exactly.
But they're trying.
I mean, I will admit, before I was told, I was nervous about being vaccinated, but I would have done it. And then when literally, probably 2 months ago, when I was told, actually, Justin, well, they wrote it in a letter and everything. They just said, look, for the time being, for the next 6 months at least, that's what they've said. And that makes me suspicious. What are they waiting for? More data to see if more people get sick? To see if I'm frankly robust enough? When my brother, who is normal, explained to me that he felt really poorly for a good 4 or 5 days, if a normal person feels poorly, and my friend in Essex who's become very unwell, what would it do to me? And I know that's only 2 people, but if I had 100 people, then I might have more of an argument. But
well, there may be a third, because I felt like poo on both of them.
you did, didn't you? You didn't feel too clever, did you? No. But this is it, and your immune system, you're immunologically fine. You're not. You've been through some
If
stuff.
anything, I mean, since my surgery, I very rarely even get a runny nose, let alone anything else.
Right. Exactly.
I'm at the pinnacle of my health.
Yes.
And
yes.
I'm getting this. I'm going to call it rubbish, because that's what I believe it is. And if other people disagree, then so be it. I'm not going to hold it against them. But I personally think it's rubbish.
Exactly.
And I got it done because it's stopping me from getting other medical needs met.
Yes. I think that's a lot of people's opinion, actually. I mean, even when I've sort of pushed a couple of people, like I said, I probably know personally a total of, including you, in fact, I think Doug's had it done, hasn't he, as well? Including you and Doug, I probably know 7 people now that have had it done that I know directly, possibly 8 people. But yeah, not one of you has turned around and gone, oh yeah, I felt nothing, I felt fine. Everyone's gone, yeah, I actually felt pretty shit. And I'm thinking, okay, these are normal people I know. What would it do to me? That's. So I'm kind of thankful my doctors said no, if I'm honest. Relieved.
I mean, you can argue that they're trying to perfect it, but then this is why people don't want it in the first place, because it's still being trialled. This
is the thing. It's still being trialled. It's still a trial. Yes, it is. It is. And it will be for the next year or so. Yeah. And you've had experience in hospitals. You know what a medical trial is. One of the drugs that actually, touch wood, keeps me alive. Long story short, it's a mouse protein, but it was given to me at great expense when I had my transplant to make sure it took. Very controversial drug, but the point being, that was a complete shot in the dark trial, and I was very aware of it. But I was like, kidney or no kidney? Sod it, I'll try it, so...
There's not many options in that sort of sense, though, is there?
It was like continue on dialysis or have a transplant and try the new drug. I was like, okay, I'll try the new drug. I was so keen to have a kidney, but yeah, I think people are going to get, what you're expressing does reflect, I think, most people's mood, insofar as you're getting cheesed off, you're getting pissed off with it.
I mean, out of all of it, I'm more pissed off about hearing about it, if I'm being honest.
Constant conversation, like Brexit. It's Brexit part 2, isn't it? Brexit 2.0, yeah.
You cannot look at any news without seeing something to do with it.
Correct. You can't go a day without hearing the COVID word, can you? You can't.
Yeah,
you can't.
That's right. I mean, let's face it, the only thing it really did kill in its tracks was probably Brexit.
Yes. Well, this is it, Lee. That's the very thing that Boris Johnson ran on, was get Brexit done. And do you know what? I madly agree with you, because it literally, in terms of news coverage, in terms of the nation's conversation, what we're all talking about. I remember being at Metroflex, right? And I have this really clear memory. I was near Doug was teaching someone on the low pulley row, and I was on the tricep push down to the right of the low pulley row, and one of Doug's clients was talking non-stop about Brexit, and I remember Doug saying something like, "Oh yeah, I'm done with that." It was just funny, because it was literally mid-workout, and I can't think who it was. But Doug made some, sort of Doug-style comment. It's like, yeah, Brexit, schmexit, I'm done with it, or words to that effect. But it was getting tiresome then, and that was 2016, 2017, So, yeah.
This country does the same thing all the time, though. As soon as you get to a big vote, whether it's a Brexit or the Scottish independence, obviously we didn't vote on that, but obviously Scottish people did, but we heard about it daily. And then obviously any the big elections for the next Prime Minister. This country goes into a complete meltdown. Everybody wants to talk politics and blah, blah, blah. I have my view. If someone asks me, I ain't afraid about what I do with my politics. I'll talk about it. But I won't push my agenda on others to try and sway them one way or another.
No, you're not.
That ain't how it's meant to work.
No, you're not evangelising. You're not going out like an evangelist trying to convert people, are you? And let me preach.
But you think that, so things like Facebook's probably the worst for it, to be fair. I'd imagine Twitter can get quite a bit bad for it as well. But when it's people you know personally on Facebook, you'll see people like, I can't believe people are voting this way, or you should vote that way, blah, blah, blah. And anyone that doesn't, you're no longer a friend of mine. I'm like, mate, you go way too deep.
Exactly,
way too deep.
Exactly. They're half recruiters, half judge. Judge, jury, and recruiter. Like you say, I mean, one thing upsets me when I go on Facebook or Twitter and I see families, Lee, families breaking apart, like literally because of COVID. Like you say, before COVID, it was families arguing over leave or remain. If you wanted to remain in the EU versus people that wanted to be, part of Brexit and leave, families being torn asunder. And now we're seeing the same thing with COVID, but more severe, where some 65-year-old granny will be writing on Twitter, I'm not letting my son and my daughter-in-law come round here ever again because they'll kill us because they're not vaccinated. I'm like, oh my God, you're going to have a barbecue in the garden. Shut up. You're getting rid of family now because they're not vaccinated. Things like that, Lee, it's mental, man. Family.
Well, it'd be quite curious to see what people think of my household because I'm vaccinated against my will and my partner isn't.
Right, interesting.
And then you got my dad that I see probably about 4 or 5 times a week who's not vaccinated.
Right, interesting.
And he's going to be 66 this year. Do you know what I mean? And he's just refusing point blank to have it, which fair play to him.
Yeah, fair enough. And what about your other half? Why did she decide to not do it, or was it another reason?
She's only just been offered it,
right?
And I mean, she's worked through the pandemic anyway, and obviously she's works with children. And she's just like, well, it's not really been tested enough. I don't feel I'm in a rush to have it. I don't think she ain't anti-vaccination, but she's not pro either. It's like, well, we'll see what happens. If I get forced to have it, I suppose I'm going to have it done. But other than that, I'm just going to sit on the fence until they say it's safe or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Fair dues. Fair dues. I don't know. But like you say, I agree with you. It's to my mind, the last 4 years, 5 years even, since 2016 has been a 2-part conversation. One bit was Brexit, and this second chapter is COVID, and that's the entire British conversation, isn't it? That's every. In
a nutshell.
Say again.
In a nutshell, that's exactly what it's been.
Isn't it? It really has, mate. I mean, I know there's other stuff going on in the world, but you wouldn't think it. It's. I think we've become obsessive, and I wonder what will outdo COVID. I wonder what will be the next thing. I mean,
it's got to unravel at some point. There's going to be a whistleblower or something that really blows the lid off of all this to say how much bullshit it is.
Exactly.
Guaranteed that's how it goes.
Exactly, and this is what I'm feeling now. And if I'm honest, I'm sort of on the side of half hoping it happens because I do watch so much American news. I probably watch 30% English and 70% American. Dr. Fauci, the American face of COVID, he messed up with HIV. He messed up in 84 to 1990 with HIV and AIDS. He was proven to lie then, and he's lied again now. Both times about the cure, the vaccine and treatment and how one should battle it. He lied about HIV. There's still no vaccine for HIV. Let's not forget this. There's still no.
What's that story with Charlie Sheen then, about a year or so ago? Because he came out saying that he had HIV/AIDS.
He does.
But he was getting treated, and there was a treatment. What was the deal with that?
Basically, as far as I understand it, and I've only got a layman's understanding, I think he's probably got a decent amount of money. And also, there are treatments now that basically prolong your life. I mean, it's not the death sentence it used to be, and it looks like there have been some modern advances in treatment of, HIV/AIDS, where it won't really be what they're saying now about Charlie Sheen is he'll die with it, not because of it.
But it won't kill him, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm even sure that I read somewhere that you can take drugs where it doesn't even transmit to other people.
That's true.
As well, right?
That's true. Yeah,
that's crazy. It is mad.
You can have it so.
It's as good as a cure, isn't it?
It is, Lee. It is. You can have it so that the antibodies present in your blood are so low that the chances of transference, actual infection, are very, very low. Yeah. So that's encouraging. It really is. But yeah, I think. Any day now we're going to have some major whistleblowing about all this stuff, because it all happened very quickly,
It does seem, and the fact that most of the big countries especially all jumped on board and went in the same direction as well.
Yeah, this is it.
And this is why I don't understand this. Obviously we've got the new variant now, and people are now dying again. They won't talk about the type of people dying.
No.
They won't say it's of this age bracket or that age bracket, or they had this underlying condition,
right,
or wasn't no underlying condition. But then I know, say, my partner's nan, she passed away beginning of the year.
Did she?
And
was it COVID related or?
Allegedly.
Right, okay.
But she was in her 80s, she had diabetes, and, she struggled with her health for a long period of time.
Yeah.
For me, although they've put it down to COVID on the death certificate, somebody that has that many health conditions and reaches her mid-80s, you go, fair crack at the whip.
I was going to say,
you know what I mean?
Done pretty well, to be fair. Yeah, decent innings regardless. Yeah, pretty diabetes. Yeah.
40-year-old dying of them conditions, and you go, there's something not right there. Maybe there's some truth in this, but how often has it happened?
Yeah.
And if it has happened, what was the underlying condition? I think every single condition that they throw up to use as an argument, you can debunk it.
Yes. Oh, I've got.
And this is my issue. I think it's insulting to previous pandemics when we're having to line corpses up and burn them en masse.
Okay, I'm back. Just chatting with Lee about COVID. A very common conversation these days. Very, very ubiquitous conversation. Just going to get Lee back on camera, and then I'm going to do another 10 minutes with Lee and probably go to bed, because it's yes, I've done over 2 hours, so quite a lengthy one. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys, because I'm literally going to wrap this up. So thank you, YouTube. Thank you. I hope you watched this. I felt tonight's been, in terms of how my mouth's been going and what's been leaving it, relatively good one. So yes. same time, same place, same face tomorrow night. See you later. Thank you for being here.